Hello. I'm in my room and I have all the dogs with me. We had a really bad storm and the electricity went out, and thankfully I have my battery, um, and I'm able to run a small fan. And I have a small fan and I have a little USB lamp on, so it's kind of dark. And I figured I've been wanting to make this video, and I figured this is a good time to do it. And I have also my neck lamp here, so I'm going to use that to read. I want to share with you John chapter 4, verses 1 through 29. This is the woman at the well. And I also have something that I want to show you. I have this, actually when I was by my son's house one time when I was reading this, I saw this, I guess it's like an old oil can or something, an oil, it's plastic, but it reminded me of the water jug of the woman at the well, and I even wrote on there a passage there. It says, "The woman then left her water pot." And so we'll be talking about this. We'll come back to this. So I'm going to chapter 4, verses 1 through 29. When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, hold on, let me skip down, I'm sorry. I should begin here. Okay, well, I can start from there. Okay, when therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself baptized not but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. Okay. So let me just pause here. The Jews, they did not like the Samaritans. As a matter of fact, they sort of went out of their way to avoid going through Samaria, because they considered them to be, they were not considered pure Jews. They had intermarried, and so they avoided the Samaritans. So Jesus is going through Samaria with his disciples, and Jacob's well was there. Okay, Jesus being wearied from the journey, I think that's so awesome to think, that Jesus got tired. He got tired and he had to sit down and rest, and he was wearied from the journey. So he sat down on Jacob's well. Okay, continuing. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus therefore, being wearied with the journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus saith unto her, Give me to drink. Jesus is asking for some water. For his disciples were gone away into for his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? You see, it was that she's wondering why Jesus would even, bother to ask her, because she's a Samaritan. She knows Jesus is a Jew. For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? All right, so she sees that Jesus has nothing to draw. Jesus is talking about different type of living water, but she's thinking, he's going to draw from the well, but he has nothing to draw with. Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Jesus saith unto her, Go call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that saidst thou truly. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The woman saith unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. Wow, I don't know of any place that is more direct, where Jesus, just right out tells her. Here, this woman who, women at that time, they would come to draw water from the well. The well was a very significant place. It was where you could meet your future spouse. It was kind of like a meeting place, you know. And women, they would come at the early morning hours to avoid the heat of the day. And this woman, she is not coming at the early morning hours. She's coming in the heat of the day, you know, later on, like later in the afternoon, because obviously she wants to avoid, because of the way she's living. You know, she's had 5 husbands, and the one that she's with now is not her husband, which would have been scandalous. So to avoid all that gossip and all the condemnation, she comes at a different time of the day. And I'm thinking, you know, the woman that played the woman at the well in The Chosen, I think she did a very good job. You know, I mean, I was just thinking about this yesterday. You know, this constant heat and humidity in Alabama. It just starts to wear on you, and I know that I haven't been feeling too good because of it, and it makes you feel lethargic and tired and kind of sick, even nauseous. And well, it has that effect on me. And I can imagine, you know, I mean, imagine the heat that she had to go through. She was probably cranky and just like heat exhaustion, you know, having to go to the well and then to bring the water back. You know, she's got her water pot with her. And then when she gets there, you know, there's no one else there, of course. She makes sure of that because of the time that she comes to the well. Jesus, who is tired, he's wearied from the journey. That's amazing. He comes and he sits down. Now here's another thing. For a woman to talk to a man at that time, for a woman to talk to a man in public or vice versa, that's another thing that was considered, you know, not really acceptable, not acceptable for that time. But Jesus asked her for a drink of water, you know, and that's when he starts telling her, you know, that if you knew who it was that was asking you for a drink of water. Now imagine, Jesus chose, there's no accident here. Jesus had an appointment to meet this woman. And like I said, Jews would kind of go out of their way to avoid Samaria because they were not considered, you know, pure Jews because of the intermarrying and that. And so, yeah, he had an appointment with this woman, and he asked her for a drink of water. He asked her for a drink of water. And he says, go call your husband. And, you know, he says, I have no husband. You know, it's true. What you say is true. You've had 5 husbands, and the man that you're with now is not true. There's no condemnation, no judgment in Jesus's voice, you know. And God perceived that you are a prophet. She's not quite sure yet. But Jesus just straight out says, you know, she's like, I know Messiah is coming and he's going to tell us all things. Jesus just straight out says, I mean, I get shivers when I read that. It's just, I, who I'm speaking to, am he. I mean, it can't be more clear than that. And we'll see what's going to happen here. And, okay, so the woman saith unto him, I know that Messiah is coming, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. And upon this came his disciples, and marveled that he talked with the woman, yet no man said, what seekest thou, or why talkest thou with her? So the disciples have come back, you know, they have gone, I guess, into town to get some meat, and they see Jesus talking to this woman at the well. The woman then left her water pot and went her way into the city, and saith to the men, Come, see a man which told me all things that ever I did. Is not this the Christ? Then they went out of the city and came unto him. So, okay, we continue here. In the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? So Jesus is saying, I have meat to eat that you don't know of. And they're like, they just came back from going into town to get meat, and they're like, did anyone bring him meat? They don't get it, what he's talking about. And Jesus saith unto them, My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work. All right, so I'm going to stop there. And so yeah, the disciples, they're baffled. They don't quite understand what Jesus is talking about. And the woman, after Jesus said, I am the Messiah, this when she runs back and she's like, come, see a man who has told me everything that I ever did. He knows me, he sees me, yet, he doesn't condemn her. As a matter of fact, he's asking her for a drink of water. And she becomes so excited, the very thing that she used to draw water with, her water pot, she left it behind. She left it behind. So yeah, I thought this was a beautiful, beautiful story about a woman who got to experience being seen, known by the Messiah, a Samaritan woman. And she went back, excited, obviously. She left her water pot to tell, about Jesus. Then they come out, and they made it clear that they believed because of listening to Jesus himself, not because of her, probably a whole pride thing, not wanting to take a woman's word for it. They had to come out and hear for themselves. And that's what happened. So there's a lot going on here, but I've just been thinking about this, and then I often wonder, like, what the nature of that conversation would have been like, when she went back to her house and told the man that she was living with, what happened. And I'm sure she told him, and maybe either the man would come out and hear and see for himself and be changed, or maybe she just told him, you gotta leave, I can't live like this anymore, or whatever. I don't know. But I kind of imagine, what happened when she went back to her house. So, yeah.